Some wounds never heal. They just learn to live quietly beneath your ribs, humming with the pulse of everything left unsaid. For Lark Mendenhal, that hum had followed her for 30 years, a dull ache named father. The morning it all began, she was splitting wood behind her cabin, the axe rising and falling in a rhythm that felt older than grief itself. The October air was thin and sharp, carrying the scent of pine and cold stone. Then her phone rang, a sound so out of place in the wilderness it felt almost violent. "Miss Mendenhal?" the voice said. "This is David Ortega, attorney from Kalispell. I'm calling regarding the estate of Robert James Mendenhal," her father's name. She gripped the handle of the axe until her knuckles went white. Ortega continued, his voice precise, detached. Her father had died 2 weeks earlier at the VA hospital. "There's a will," he said. "You're the primary beneficiary. Your father owned property, an island, actually. On Prospect Lake," Lark blinked. "An island?" He explained the stipulation. She had 30 days to visit, or it reverted to the state. When the line went silent, she stood at her kitchen window, staring at her reflection in the glass. A weathered woman in flannel and solitude, who suddenly realized her father had lived a life she'd never even glimpsed. The road down from her mountain felt like a descent into another version of reality. Asphalt replaced dirt. The scent of wood smoke gave way to exhaust, and the steady rhythm of her solitude was drowned by engines and traffic lights. Ortega's office was small, lined with law books and the faint metallic tang of bureaucracy. He laid the documents before her, a property deed, a hand-drawn map, a key tarnished with age, and a sealed envelope bearing her name. "Your father wasn't forthcoming about his personal affairs," Ortega said. Lark picked up the key. It was heavier than she expected, cool and certain, like a promise waiting to be broken. By evening she was on the road north, chasing a ghost through the Montana wilderness. When she reached Prospect Lake, the sun was dissolving into the water, turning it to glass. On the shore sat a man with a cedar carving knife, his hands steady, his eyes soft with memory. "You're Robert's girl," he said. "I'm Thomas." I looked after his canoe. His voice held that gentle suspicion mountain people reserve for strangers. "Your father loved that island. But folks don't hide in places like that unless they're running from something, or trying to protect it." The words slid under her skin. She found the canoe half buried in the reeds. Old cedar, initials carved into the bow, RM. Her father's hands had made those cuts. And when she pushed off, the lake swallowed the sound of everything she'd ever known. The island rose from the mist like something half-remembered. Steep banks, black water, trees pressing close enough to choke the light. The lodge stood near the center, a 2-story skeleton of logs and broken glass. Inside, the air smelled of rot and dust. But there, above the fireplace, she found them, photographs. Her father young and smiling beside a dark-haired woman. Another photo of that same woman cradling a small girl in a winter coat. Not her mother, not her. Lark stared at the images until her chest felt hollow. Every detail of her childhood, the distance, the silence, rearranged itself into something cruelly logical. Her father hadn't been incapable of love. He'd just given it to someone else. She wandered through the rooms, her footsteps echoing through decades of abandonment. In a small bedroom she found a child's drawing still pinned to the wall. A man, a woman, and a girl with a triangle dress, holding hands under a blue crayon sky. At the bottom of each, love, Rosie. Her breath caught, Rosie. A name, a heartbeat from another world. She lifted one drawing carefully, the paper soft as ash. Her father had another daughter. In the kitchen, a calendar hung frozen in July 1987, 37 years ago. The last date circled, marked only with one word. Gone. What had happened that summer? The answer came buried in a box beneath the sink. Letters, dozens of them, all addressed in her father's tight handwriting to Rosie. Most were unopened, their paper yellowed and warped by damp air. The last envelope, dated 2003, had been slit open. "Dear Rosie," it began, "I don't know if you'll read this, but I'm writing anyway. I'm sorry for the choices I made. I thought hiding was protecting. I was wrong." The words cracked something in her. The man who'd stood mute at her mother's funeral, who'd walked away from her at 26 without a word, had spent his life drowning in regret for another child. The island suddenly felt like a confession built from wood and grief. In the attic, she found the rest of the evidence: journals, photographs, medical records. Her father had loved a woman named Violet Reyes, the dark-haired stranger in the photos. He'd built this place for her and their daughter. Violet's death certificate told the rest. 1985, ovarian cancer, age 39. After that, the journals turned frantic. Guilt, loneliness, pages filled with apologies written to no one. And then, in 1987, the entries stopped. Rosie had left. Her father had locked the island and his shame away. Days later, Lark found herself in a small-town library under the hum of fluorescent lights, searching county records for proof. There it was, a deed dated 1974, purchased the year before her father married her mother. He'd been living 2 lives before she was even born. The librarian remembered him. Quiet man, came into town with a woman once, and a little girl. Then one day, it was just him. The pieces fit together with the precision of tragedy. When Lark finally left the library, the world outside felt sharper, meaner. She drove to Tacoma, Washington, the address from the last letter. The house was small, yellow, with flower boxes beneath the windows. The woman who opened the door could have been her mirror 30 years younger. Same grey eyes, same wary expression. "Are you Rosie?" "I go by Rose," she said. "Who are you?" "I'm Lark Mendenhal." Silence. Then softly, "So he finally told you?" "No," Lark whispered. "He died 2 weeks ago." Rose looked past her, as if the ghost of their father might still be standing in the truck behind her. "Come in," she said finally. The kitchen smelled of coffee and rain. 2 mugs, 2 strangers, and a lifetime of betrayal between them. "He lied to everyone," Rose said. "I thought we were a family. I thought we were hidden because we were special. Turns out we were hidden because he was ashamed." Lark's eyes burned. "I thought he didn't love me," she said. "Turns out he loved too much and too wrong." Rose gave a bitter laugh. "That's one way to put it." Then, after a long silence, she added, "He kept sending letters. I never opened them, but I couldn't throw them away." She set a shoebox on the table, a monument of unopened apologies. "What are you going to do with the island?" Rose asked. Lark hesitated. "Part of me wants to burn it down. Part of me wants to make it into something else." Rose's mouth curved, almost a smile. "If you go back, call me. I don't like surprises." And that was how, weeks later, they found themselves side by side in a canoe, the lake stretching like glass beneath them. 2 daughters, paddling through the reflection of everything their father had destroyed. The island greeted them in silence. Rose stepped onto the dock, her breath hitching as memory collided with the present. "I was 17 the last time I stood here," she said. "I swore I'd never come back." Her voice trembled. "I used to throw rocks at that boulder," she whispered, pointing toward the shore. "I thought if I hit it 10 times, my mother would get better." Inside the lodge, time had stood still. Rose traced her fingers along the counter where Violet had cooked, the walls where her drawings still hung. "I made these when I was 6, she said. "I thought if I drew us happy enough times, it would become true." In the attic, they found a cairn map carved into the beams, and when they followed it, they reached the island's highest point. Beneath a pile of stones lay a metal box. Inside were medals, a locket, and 2 sealed letters, one addressed to Rose, one to Lark. Lark's read, You were never my failure, Lark. You are my strength. Take care of each other. Be the family I couldn't give you. Rosie said simply, forgive me if you can. And if you can't, love your sister anyway. The two women sat beneath the open sky and cried until the sun went down. Months passed. The island changed. The sisters rebuilt the lodge piece by piece, repairing what their father had left broken. The roof gleamed new under the spring sun. The porch faced the water with two chairs side by side. They named it the Mendenhal Sisters' Lodge, a place not of secrets, but of solace. Sometimes they spoke of their father, not with anger, but with understanding. Do you think we'll ever forgive him? Rose asked one evening. Lark shook her head. Maybe forgiveness isn't the point. Maybe it's just about not carrying it anymore. In the clearing, they rebuilt the cairn, this time stronger, intentional. Beneath its stones, they left their father's dog tags, a photograph of Violet, and a pressed flower from her garden. So it doesn't end with him, Rose said. When the wind rose, it sounded like an exhale, as if the island itself was letting go. That night, they sat by the fire, wrapped in quilts, the world outside quiet except for the water lapping against the dock. Rose leaned her head on Lark's shoulder and whispered, "We're going to be okay." Lark smiled through tears. "Yeah," she said softly, "we are." And for the first time in either of their lives, the silence that followed wasn't empty, it was peace. If this story touched you, if it reminded you of the quiet, complicated ways people hurt and heal, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because stories like this one aren't just about ghosts or secrets. They're about the small, brave act of choosing to forgive, not for the past, but for the chance to build something better from it.